Yes. So we are reading from the pastime of the Deliverance of Mucukunda. Yesterday we had completed the second part of this chapter, and now we will begin with the last part, and then we'll proceed with the next chapter. So, like we do every day, I will read the first two paragraphs. Then, so generally, devotees who join early, we give chance as per the sequence. So, after me, Aditya Madane Prabhu can read two paragraphs. Then Saurabh Kale Prabhu can read, and then Aditya Yadav Prabhu can read next two paragraphs. Yes. So I am just searching the paragraph where we stopped yesterday. Hmm. So yesterday we were reading the pure devotional prayers offered by King Mucukunda, and when Lord is asking him, please ask some benediction, he is not ready to ask anything because he wanted pure devotional service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, we'll read from here. Maybe we are reading one or two paragraphs again, but it's worth reading. So I will read from here, and then all of us will read uh, two paragraphs. And I request devotees who are not speaking can kindly go on mute. My dear Lord, we come under the full control of this inevitable time, not only after death, but also in a different way while living. For example, I may be a powerful king, and yet when I come home after conquering the world, I become subjected to many material conditions. When I come back victorious, all subordinate kings may come and offer their respects. But as soon as I enter the inner section of my palace, I myself become an instrument in the hands of the queens. And for sense gratification, I have to fall down at the feet of women. The material way of life is so complicated that before taking the enjoyment of
हाँ हाँ
material life,
धीरज प्रो से
devotees can go on mute. The material life of life is so complicated that
हाय
before
प्रभु
taking the enjoyment
अनम्यूट क्या लगता है
of material life,
हाँ
one has to work so hard that there is scarcely an opportunity for peacefully enjoying. And to attain
ठीक
all
है
material facilities, one has to undergo severe austerities and penances and be elevated to the heavenly planets. If one gets the opportunity to take birth in a very rich or royal family, even then he is always anxious to maintain the status quo and prepare for the next life by performing various sacrifices and distributing charity. Even in royal life, one is full of anxieties, not only because of political administration, but also in regard to being elevated to the heavenly planets. It is therefore very difficult to get out of material entanglement. But if one is somehow or other favored by you, by your mercy alone, he is given the opportunity to associate with a pure devotee. That is the beginning of liberation from the entanglement of material conditioned life. My dear Lord, only by the association of pure devotees is one able to approach your Lordship, who are the controller of both the material and spiritual existences. You are the supreme goal of all pure devotees, and by association with pure devotees, one can develop his dormant love for you. Therefore, development of Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees is the cause of liberation from this material entanglement. Okay. Aditya Madane Prabhu, you can read next two paragraphs.
My dear Lord, you are so merciful that, in spite of my being reluctant to associate with your pure devotees, you have shown your extreme mercy upon me. As a result of my slight contact with such a pure devotee as Garga Muni, by your causeless mercy, only have I lost all my material opulences, my kingdom and my family. I do not think I could have gotten rid of all these entanglements without your causeless mercy. King and emperor sometimes accept the life of an ascetic to forget their royal life. But by your special causeless mercy, I have already been bereft of royalty. I do not need to become a mendicant or practice renunciation. My dear Lord, I therefore pray that I may simply be engaged in rendering transcendental loving service unto your lotus feet. This is the ambition of pure devotee who are freed from all material contamination. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you can offer me anything I want, including liberation. But who is liberation? But who is such a fool that after pleasing you, he would ask from you something which might cause entanglement in the material world. In this material world, I do not think any sane man would ask such a benediction from you. I therefore surrendered unto you because you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the super soul living in everyone's heart, and you are the impersonal Brahman effulgence. Moreover, you are also this material world, because this material world is only the manifestation of your external energy. Therefore, from any angle of vision, you are the supreme shelter for everyone, whether on the material plane or the spiritual plane. Everyone must take shelter under your lotus feet. I therefore submit unto you, my Lord.
Thank you. Um, Saurabh Kali Prabhu, you can read next two paragraphs, and then Aditya Yadav Prabhu can be ready.
For many, many births, I have been suffering from the threefold miseries of the material existence, and I am now tired of it. I have been impelled only by my senses, and I was never satisfied. I therefore take a shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of all peaceful life and which can eradicate all lamentation caused by material contamination. My dear Lord, you are the super soul of everyone, and you can understand everything. Now I am free from all contamination of material desire. I do not wish to enjoy this material world, nor do I wish to take advantage of merging into your spiritual effulgence, nor do I wish to meditate upon your localized aspect of Paramatma. For I know that simply by taking shelter of you, I shall become completely peaceful and undisturbed. On hearing this statement by King Mucukunda, Lord Krishna replied, "My dear king, I am very much pleased with your statement. You have been the king of all the lands on this planet. But I am surprised to find that your mind is now freed from all material contamination. You are now fit to execute devotional service. I am most pleased to see the although I am offered you to opportunity to ask from me and any kind of benediction. You did not take advantage of asking for material benefits, and I can understand that your mind is now fixed in me, and it is not disturbed by any material quality. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Vansh Prabhu is having prasadam, so we can give him chance at the end. Aditya Yadav Prabhu, you can read.
So material qualities are three, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. When one is placed into the mixed material qualities of passion and ignorance, various kinds of greed and lusty desires impel him to try to find comfort in this material world. When situated in the material quality of goodness, one tries to purify himself by performing various penances and austerities. When one reaches the platform of a real Brahmana, he aspires to merge into the existence of the Lord, but when one desires only to render service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he is transcendental to all these three qualities. The pure Krishna conscious person is therefore always free from all material qualities. My dear king, Lord Krishna continued, I offered to give you any kind of benediction just to test how much you have advanced in devotional service. Now I can see that you are on the platform of the pure devotees, for your mind is not disturbed by any greedy or lusty desires of this material world. The yogis who try to elevate themselves by controlling the senses and who meditate upon me by practicing the breathing exercise of pranayam are not so thoroughly freed from material desires. It has been seen in several cases that as soon as there is allurement, such yogis again come down to the material platform.
Yes, very important. Lord is telling that, my dear Mucukunda, I offered you all kinds of benediction just to test how much you have advanced in devotional service. Every day we recite in Shikshashtakam, fourth verse, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaya, mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti rahe tuki tvai. Pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, like Muchukund Maharaj, they will only aspire for pure devotional service and they don't want anything of this material world. Na dhanam, no wealth, na janam, no followers, na sundarim, nor beautiful women for enjoyment. Kavitamva, they don't also want to become learned. They only want to render loving devotional service, birth after birth, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that was the platform of Muchukund Maharaj also. And that's how Krishna is glorifying him. That you are not allured by such pralobhan, uh, by such allurement, because you have come to pure platform. And he's telling many yogis they fall down because they get allured by the pralobhanas. And Prabhupada will give some examples ahead. Okay. Thank you. Sahil Prabhu, you can read next two paragraphs.
Sure, Guruji. My dear King, Lord Krishna
No,
continued,
sorry.
I
The vivid
therefore,
example.
okay. The vivid example verifying this statement is Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni was a great yogi who practiced pranayama, a breathing exercise. But when he was visited by Menaka, a society woman of the heavenly planets, he lost all control and begot in her a daughter named Shakuntala. But the pure devotee Haridas Thakur was never disturbed, even when all such allurements were offered by a prostitute. My dear king, Lord Krishna continued, I therefore give you the special benediction that you will always think of me. Thus, you will be able to traverse this material world freely, without being contaminated by the material qualities. This statement by the Lord confirms that a person in true Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord under the direction of the spiritual master, is never subject to the contamination of material qualities.
Yes, Prabhupada is giving example of Vishwamitra Muni. We also read about Shobri Muni in ninth and 10th canto. How Shobri Muni got bewildered after seeing the mating of two fishes. And then he came out of the water and married 50 daughters of King Mandhata. And we also read about Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni got puffed up and in great anger, he tried to kill Amrish Maharaj. And then the Sudarshan of Lord Nārāyaṇa, he finished the demon and chased after Durvasa Muni. So we have so many examples. But when one is properly situated in pure Krishna consciousness, like Haridas Thakur, they are never disturbed, even when they are offered so many allurements by prostitute and in so many ways. So we can see from this example that Lord will give some allurements, some benediction, just to test, are we really free from the contamination of the material qualities? And that's what Prabhupada is telling here. A person in true Krishna consciousness, engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord, under the direction of spiritual master, is never subject to the contamination of material qualities. So one who is properly situated in performing devotional service under the direction of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, is never subjected to any kind of material contaminations or contaminations due to material qualities. Thank you. Something has come in the chat. I have very poor connection. Okay, Vansh Prabhu can read now, and after Vansh Prabhu, we can. I don't know who else have joined. After Vansh Prabhu, Tejas Prabhu can read next two paragraphs.
Hare Krishna. My dear king, the Lord said, because you are a Kshatriya, you can commit the offense of slaughtering animals, both in hunting and in political engagements. to become purified. Just engage yourself in the practice of bhakti yoga and always keep your mind absorbed in me. Very soon you will be freed from all reactions to such sordid activities. Sordid activities. In these statements, it appears that although Kshatriya are allowed to kill animals in hunting, they are not freed from the resultant contamination of sinful reaction. Therefore, whether one is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Brahmana, one is recommended to take sannyas at the end of life to engage himself completely in the service of the Lord and thus become freed from all sinful reaction of this past life. Probably next paragraph also.
Yes.
The Lord then ensured King Mucukunda, in your next life, you will take your birth as a first class Vaishnava, the best Brahman, and in that life, your only business will be to engage yourself in my transcendental service. A Vaishnava is a first class Brahman because one who has not acquired the qualification of a bona fide Brahman cannot come to the platform of Vaishnav. When one becomes a Vaishnav, he is completely engaged in welfare activities of for all living entities. The highest welfare activities of for living entities is the preaching of Krishna consciousness. It is stated here in that those who are specially favored by the Lord can become absolutely Krishna conscious and be engaged in the work of preaching the Vaishnava philosophy. Hare Krishna. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 55th chapter of Krishna, the Deliverance of Mucukunda. Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
thank you. So here Prabhupada is mentioning a Vaishnava is a first class Brahmana, and without becoming a bona fide Brahmana, one cannot come to the platform of a Vaishnava. And when one becomes a Vaishnava, he is completely engaged in the topmost, highest welfare activity, which is preaching of Krishna consciousness, preaching and book distribution. And those who are specially favored by the Lord, they are absolutely Krishna conscious, Prabhupada is telling here, and they always engage in the work of preaching the Vaishnava philosophy. Yare dekhe tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Amar agya hai guru haiya tara ei desh. And one more verse comes in CC. Kiba vipra kiba nyasi shudra kenenoy. Jai Krishna tattva vitta sai guru hoy. Whether we are a Brahmana or we are a sannyasi or we are a Shudra or whatever we are. If we know the science of Krishna consciousness, we are eligible to become Guru and Sai Guru Hoy. We understand the absolute truth and we become the Guru of the whole world. So here it is mentioned the Lord is giving blessings to Mucukunda. In your next life, you will take birth as a first class Vaishnava, the best of Brahmanas. And in that life, your only business will be to engage yourself in my transcendental service. Some devotees say that Muchukund Maharaj in next life became Narsi Mehta in Gujarat. Some say he became Pundlik in Pandharpur. Whatever. The different states have different versions. So whether he is Narsi Mehta or whether he is Pundlik, both are pure devotees of the Lord. So and that's how they lived their whole life when they came again in Kali Yuga, as whatever the different Acharya's commentary says. So here we have completed this chapter. Now we have some more time left. So we will move on to the next chapter. Yes. So Tejas Prabhu can read first two paragraphs and then Prashant Prabhu can read. So chapter number 52, Krishna, the Ranchod. Ranchod Rai ki jai.
When Mucukunda, the celebrated descendant of Ikshvashu dynasty, was favored by Lord Krishna, he circumambulated the Lord within the cave and then came out. On coming out of the cave, Mucukunda saw that the human species had surprisingly been reduced in stature to pygmy size. Similarly, the trees had also been far reduced in size, and Muchukunda could immediately understand that the current age was Kali Yuga. Therefore, without diverting his attention, he began to travel north. Eventually, he reached the mountain known as Kantamadan, where there were many trees, such as sandalwood and other flowering trees, whose fragrance made anyone who reached them joyful. He decided to remain in that Gantamadan mountain region to execute austerities and penances for the rest of his life. It appears that this place is situated in the northernmost part of Himalayan mountains, where the abode of Nārayaṇa is situated. This place is still existing and is called Badrikashram. In Badrikashram, he engaged himself in the worship of Lord Krishna, tolerating all kinds of pains and pleasure and the dualities of this material world. Lord Krishna returned to the vicinity of Mathura, where he fought with the soldiers of Kalyavan and killed them one after another. After this, he collected all the booty from the dead bodies, and under his direction it was loaded on bullock cart and brought back to Dwarka. Meanwhile, Jarasandh again attacked Mathura, this time with bigger divisions of soldiers, numbering 23 Akshonis.
Yeah, thank you. So next, who is there? Let me check. Yes, I think Rohan Prabhu is remaining now. Yes, Rohan Prabhu, you can read. Let me scroll down. Yes.
Lord Sri Krishna wanted to save Mathura from the 18th attack of the great military divisions of King Jarasandha. To prevent further killing of soldiers and to attend to other important business, Lord Krishna left the battlefield without fighting. Actually, he was not at all afraid, but he pretended to be an ordinary human being, frightened by the immense quality of soldiers and resources of Jarasandha. Without any weapons, Krishna left the battlefield, although his lotus feet were as soft as the petals of a lotus flower. He proceeded for a very long distance on foot. This time Jarasandha thought that Krishna and Balram very, were very much afraid of his military strength and were fleeing in battlefield. He followed them with all his chariots, horses, and infantry. He thought Krishna and Balram to be ordinary human beings, and he was trying to measure the activities of the Lord. Due to this pastime, Krishna is known as Ranchod, which means one who has left the battlefield. In India, especially in Gujarat, there are many temples of Krishna known as the temples of Ranchodji. Ordinary, if a king leaves the battlefield without fighting, he is called a coward. But when Krishna enacts this pastime, leaving the battlefield without fighting, he is worshipped by the devotees. A demon always tries to measure the opulence of Krishna, whereas a devotee never tries to measure his strength and opulence but always surrenders unto him and worship him. By following in the footsteps of pure devotees, we can know that Krishna, the Ranchodji, left the battlefield not because he was afraid, but because he had some other purpose. The purpose, as it will be revealed, was to attend to a confidential letter sent by Rukmini, his future first wife. Krishna's leaving the battlefield is a display of one of his six opulences. Krishna is the supreme powerful and the supreme wealthy, the supreme famous, the supreme wise, and the supreme beautiful. Similarly, he is the supreme renouncer. Srimad Bhagavatam clearly states that he left the battlefield in spite of having ample military strength. Even without his militia, he alone would have been sufficient to defeat the army of Jarasandha, as he had done 17 times before. And therefore, he is leaving the battlefield and is an example of his supermost opulence renunciation.
Yes. So in Krishna Lila, Krishna exhibited all the six opulences. He was supremely powerful, supremely wealthy, famous, wise, beautiful, and he is the supreme renouncer also. Yes. So about Ranchod Rai, it's mentioned here. Okay, I'm just checking if we have left anyone. Okay, we have covered almost all devotees. So I will read last two paragraphs and then we stop for today. After traversing a very long distance, the brothers pretended to become tired. To mitigate their weariness, they climbed up a mountain many miles above sea level. This mountain was called Pravershan due to the constant rain, for the peak was always covered with clouds sent by Indra. Jarasandha took it for granted that the two brothers were afraid of his military power and had hidden themselves at the top of the mountain. First, he tried to find them, searching for a long time, but when he failed, he decided to trap and kill them by setting fires around the peak. He therefore surrounded the peak with firewood and set it ablaze. As the fire spread more and more, Krishna and Balram jumped from the top of the mountain down to the ground, a distance of 88 miles. Thus, while the peak was burning up, Krishna and Balram escaped unseen by Jarasandha or his men. Jarasandha concluded that the two brothers had burned to ashes and that there was no need of further fighting. Thinking himself successful in his efforts, he left the city of Mathura and returned to his home in the kingdom of Magad. Gradually, Krishna and Balram reached the city of Dwarka, which was surrounded by the sea. Following this, Sri Balram married Revati, daughter of King Raivat, ruler of Anartha province. This is explained in ninth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After the marriage of Baldev, Krishna married Rukmini. Rukmini was the daughter of King Bhishmak, ruler of province known as Vidarbha. Just as Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudev, Rukmini is Supreme Goddess of Fortune, Mahalakshmi. According to authority of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the expansion of Krishna and that of Srimati Radharani are simultaneous. Krishna expands himself into various Vishnu Tattva forms, and Srimati Radharani expands herself into various Shakti Tattva forms by her internal potency as multiforms of the goddesses of fortune. Hare Krishna.